Marks 75 years since Marines landed on the island of Iwo Jima. Local World War II veterans got together in Altamont to commemorate this special day. And that is where we find Emily DeVito. Good afternoon, Emily.
Good afternoon. This breakfast is just wrapping up. Everyone kind of just relaxing now, chit-chatting. And that was really the point this morning here at Homefront Cafe in Altamont. It was a chance for these veterans to share their unique stories and also talk about their life after the war.
We've been looking forward to the 75th year. Three of us were wondering, could we make it? And we did.
Thomas Lemme was one of 5 Marine veterans in attendance commemorating the 75th anniversary of the Battle of Iwo Jima. The battle lasted for 5 weeks. In some of the bloodiest fighting of World War II, it's believed that around 21,000 Japanese forces on the island were killed, as were almost 7,000 Marines.
I was there the very first day on the front lines for 13 days.
The 94-year-old says he was a demolition man, and he said he realizes how lucky he was to make it home.
My job was to blow up pillboxes and caves.
Wow.
And because they didn't need me right away, I guess I was one of the ones that lasted the longest. I found out afterwards my company was getting wiped out slowly but surely. I never even realized how many were being killed.
Also at the gathering was Porter Beitelman. He served on this ship during the Battle of Iwo Jima, but he says he was only there for about 4 to 5 days.
We were told that we were going into this invasion, but we would not be there very long because we would be leaving to go back to the Philippines and recharge our ammunition. And then from there, we would go to Okinawa.
The 93-year-old says he remembers every detail from war, as did many of the veterans. But he says he chooses not to reflect back on it too much, but rather look back on the beautiful life he built with his wife and daughters.
I truly have been blessed. And that's all I can really say.
And while today was extra special, they had a buffet, they had a cake. These veterans actually get together once a month here at the Homefront Cafe where they talk about everything from their war stories to just the weather outside, really building a family atmosphere. Live in Altamont, Emily DeVito, News Channel 13.
75 years ago today, more than 70,000 U.S. service members landed on the shores of Iwo Jima in an attempt to capture that Pacific island from Japanese troops. Casualties from the 36-day battle included nearly 6,800 U.S. Marines and more than 18,000 Japanese military personnel. Today, Iwo Jima survivors from our area commemorated the 75-year mark at the military-themed Homefront Cafe in Altamont. Survivor Salvatore Famularo, a survivor from Amsterdam, tells us he fought for 9 days. He remembers being hit by a Japanese machine gun in his right leg.
Nobody should forget, because all the freedoms you have today, somebody else picked up the check. And that means an awful lot.
The local group meets the second Friday of every month at the Homefront Cafe. Of course, the U.S. took that island, critical for our bombers making it all the way to Japan. They had to refuel there, so that's why it was so critical. The Homefront Cafe, that's a great place to check out. If you want to see a tribute to veterans and see a veteran every time you go there, that's the place to be.
Awesome.
Highly recommend it.
I lasted 9 days on Iwo Jima before I got banged up, and banged up good. But last night, I sat in my bedroom with all the lights off, no television on or anything, and I let my mind wander. I went back to 75 years ago. All the guys that I went to training with, I went to boot camp with, so many of them, such nice people. When I think about them, they're going to be young forever. They're never going to grow old because the only way you're ever going to remember them is when they were young.
The 75th anniversary of the Battle of Iwo Jima, local survivors meeting to share stories over a hot cup of coffee.
Breakfast meant a lot to me. Get together with my buddies here. We get together at least once a month.
Homefront Cafe, a small 1940s themed restaurant, is no stranger to the packed room, regularly opening their doors to many groups of veterans each month.
How you doing? I got a seat over here.
Since World War II veteran Ambrose Cowboy Anderson Jr. has started attending the breakfasts, his daughter says she can see the impact.
He's 95, going strong, and I bring him here, try to bring here once a month to meet with his fellow federal veterans, which is nice. I think that's what keeps him motivated. And he loves to eat.
One of the first African Americans to serve in the U.S. Marine Corps, Cowboy's experience serving was much different.
It was segregated, you know, and you're out there doing what you're supposed to do, giving duty to your country, then you can't go into a restaurant because the sign says you can't come in here.
I cherish it, and I thank you.
It's so remarkable to hear their stories.
16-year-old Denise Mondello says her history book came to life when she met Sal Famularo, who nearly lost his life during World War II.
And he's still so lively. I'm just like, through all that trauma, like, how can you do it? It's so remarkable and amazing to meet them.
In Altamont, Cassie Hudson, News 10 ABC.
We meet up here every second Friday of the month, and we have breakfast and chew the fat and tell lies to one another.
When the most celebrated group of customers at Altamont's Homefront Cafe get together for breakfast, there is no telling where the conversation will lead.
You never know. It could be about the weather.
How much money we have.
What the banter often doesn't cover is the unique bond these members of the greatest generation share.
Sometimes, not that often. I would rather talk about anything else, but
I don't do a lot of talking about it either.
When they were far younger, each man survived the Battle of Iwo Jima, one of World War II's deadliest conflicts. Amsterdam native Salvatore Famularo was 19 when he was wounded on the fight's 9th day.
we landed there with 225 men. I think there was less than 57 guys left.
We didn't get a lot of credit for lots of things that we done.
Known to his friends as Cowboy, Ambrose Anderson came to the Japanese island with the 8th Ammunition Company, one of the first groups of segregated black Marines.
It was tough. It was a different ballgame for black Marines at that time.
On Wednesday, the veterans and dozens of community members gathered to commemorate the battle's 75th anniversary.
We say thank you for everything. Thank you for everything we hold dear.
The breakfast was organized by Mark Yingling.
These guys were still kids. They did something so amazing.
For some, the memories are painful.
I actually sob. I actually break down and start crying.
But for each of these men, there is no denying what they accomplished 75 years ago helped let freedom ring.
It's just something we can't afford to forget.
Very proud, very proud.
All the freedoms you had today, somebody else picked up the check.
In Altamont, Matt Hunter, Spectrum News.